Good evening. Good evening. Welcome to Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. I am your host, Dr. Reggie Ratliff, and welcome to the Friday night edition. You could be anywhere on this Friday night. I know it's kind of warmer now in Chicago, in Maywood, so you could be at the movie theater, you could be at a restaurant, you could be chilling with your significant other, but we're grateful that you decided to join us for a little while tonight. So settle in. We're going to have a great conversation with our guests, and I'm sure you're going to enjoy it. But before we bring them on, I'd like to bring on my co-host, my co-laborer in the vineyard, an expert investment advisor, Terrence Hollisworth. Terry, good evening, brother.
What's going on? How are you this evening?
Good, man. I can't complain. God is good. Made it through another week. How you doing?
Good. Navigating through the market and just doing that work is good. We had a position in Walgreens,
Yeah.
and they're being bought out at
10 billion.
11, yeah, 11.50, a share.
Yeah.
I think we're in at roughly $9 or something like this. And so, um, not a lot of money, but Walgreens represents what we see in the business community, which is people having to restructure, right? We see it all across the board.
Yeah.
Um, Companies laying off people, getting a little bit more lean. We got the federal government with the Department of Government Efficiency, all things that are happening
Those.
in the business community, right? And
Yeah.
the funny thing about it is, on some level, it's necessary. On the other thing, it's a little scary. By the time we work through
Yeah.
all of this, AI will be a prominent thing. And
Yeah.
what does that mean when we're talking about a lower workforce? And, it probably means um, lower salaries, right?
Right. Yeah.
Because efficiency of AI and all that. But, as I always say, investing has to be part of your financial picture, period.
Absolutely. It's I agree with you wholeheartedly. And I think if I'm not mistaken, Walgreens, because of them being bought by a private equity firm, will now come off the Dow. Was it the Dow Jones that will no longer be listed because of this acquisition?
Yeah,
Is that correct? Yeah, and Walgreens have been around for over
yeah,
100 years. So yeah, it's a lot going on.
yeah,
And in that same vein, I know that the courts have, kind of stalled some of Donald Trump's efforts, executive orders to, fire some federal employees, and just the whole tariff thing. He decided to pause that for 30 days, which made the market respond. But I think the market was down 2% this week, right?
yeah. Overall, I seen someone make a post one day about saying check your 401ks and all this, and the realities are that year to date the market's down 2.5%, and we're up
Mm-hmm.
200 points today, right? And so
Right.
you
Right.
should always check the 401k, but you should also not overreact to what's happening, right? We had 2 years of,
Uh,
and here's the reality: we had 2 years of
yeah.
20% growth. We haven't had that in almost 20 something years. Um, the things that Donald Trump is doing coming out of the administration, designed to slow the economy down, designed for us to spend less. But
Mm-hmm.
the market, money doesn't come out of the market and go someplace else, right?
Mm-hmm.
It shifts from one sector to the next.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
you know that's why you have to stay invested. That's why you have to be in tune with just what's going on. And so, but as I was saying, I'll be quiet because I'm excited to hear our candidate, because number one, he was an athlete, and I don't know why, but is it in the water? Maywood produces
Yes, sir.
these super
Yes, sir.
athletes, right?
Yeah.
And
20
yeah,
bucks.
So
Yes, yes,
yeah, he's one of them. I want to hear more, right?
absolutely. And
So,
you will. But before you go,
but
Terry, before you go, I want to get your view on this whole blackout initiative. All right. They did a blackout for one day recently, and now they're going to do another one for I think 40 days or somewhere along those lines. What is your view on the blackout? Is it really making an impact with these major corporations when African American or Black people or just the nation for
so
that matter
I'll
perform this blackout?
I'll ask yourself this. I'll just say this, and we should talk about this one day. But um, a lot of people out there says, this blackout has worked. It's proven to work and stuff, right? It's
Mm-hmm.
proven at what level? Um, let's just
What
go
do you
back
mean?
to the civil rights movement. Go back 50 years, right? 60 years.
Yeah.
There were blackouts. The Montgomery boycott, famously,
Mm-hmm.
is the one that they talk about the most. In the last 60 years, was right. The wealth gap has widened between black and white, and so we have to ask ourselves: has the blackout that from the civil rights movement has it worked, and will it work today? Right? I won't get deep into it tonight, but everybody should think about that. And next time we get a chance, we should talk about
But I'm gonna ask you one more thing. I know you're trying to sign off. We got like 30 more seconds. Listen, the economic blackout, particularly for Target, it impacts Black businesses who have a partnership with Target, right? So, is there
it. Yeah.
such a thing of is there a healing process for those who are struggling with losing their jobs or losing their business for that matter because of these economic blackouts? It's hurting Black businesses as well. So, I mean, is there such thing as a healing process to get through this in order to grow?
No, the truth is, I think there's some insight that black people wasn't spending as much money as Target as we think, right?
Mm,
Because if they were, I don't think Target would have alienated their consumer base. They've been losing
mm,
market share all year, right?
mm,
And they've been losing it to Walmart and they've been losing it to Costco. And so they were struggling from the beginning, but it wasn't the black community that was causing the problem.
mm.
And
Interesting.
so again, we just as a black community need to come up with a better strategy.
Mm. Understood. And we'll talk about that more in detail at the appropriate time. So that's a good place to end this discussion. So thank you very much, as always, to my expert investment advisor. Whether some news that he's saying is positive or negative, but it's like tasting castor oil. Castor oil may not be good, but definitely is good for you. So you definitely want to hear the truth. Terry will lay out the truth. So thank you, brother. I'll see you. I'll see you on the other side.
All right, see ya.
Yes, sir. So I'm excited about bringing on our next guest. This brother I've known since we were shorties, since we was young, growing up in Maywood. And as Terrence alluded to, there's something in the water. Um, we come out every decade with several athletes who are doing phenomenal things in the athletic world, as well as in the world of academia and business and um, religion and politics. I mean, the senior senator, state senator Kimberly Lightford, is from Maywood, a classmate of mine, class of '86. Christopher Emmanuel Welch is a graduate from Proviso West. He's a Proviso Township native, close to Maywood. He's the head of the house in Maywood of Illinois, rather. So there's a lot of powerful people. Many names: Sheila Johnson. First Black billionaire. The list goes on and on and on. But athletics, Doc Rivers. I mean, Michael Finley is like the assistant GM for the Dallas Mavericks. Javon Carter is currently playing basketball for the Chicago Bulls. I mean, it's just going on and on and on. So what I like to do is bring on the next guest who you can actually add to this list of great student athletes who've come through and was raised in the village of Maywood. And his name is the Honorable Aaron Peppers, Trustee Peppers, as a matter of fact. And Trustee Peppers, a little bit about his bio. He went to Emerson Elementary School, graduated in 1981. Yes, he's a Warrior. I don't know what they call him today, but growing up, it was the Emerson Warriors. He is from Pirate Nation, class of 85 graduate from Proviso East. He is a graduate of the University of Louisville, criminal justice, and he graduated soon after graduating from Proviso East. He has a master's degree in criminal justice, I believe, that he received in May of 2023. Also, he went through the College of Business with Louisville. He's the recipient of the Stanley Hall Scholarship Award from the University of Illinois College of Business. And extracurricular activities wise, he was a camp counselor, volunteer for the Maywood Park District, 1994, the Maywood Books coach from 94 to 2002. He has 4 children, Joshua, Ashanti, Delia, and Armari. He's married to the esteemed Sean, formerly known as Sean Webb. He is a former police officer of 25 years, the head football coach of Proviso East from 2001 to 2010, and then 2021 through 2024, also assistant track coach. Just something that's not on his list of accomplishments. He is a marathon runner. He runs all over the world, and we're going to talk about that briefly. But he's also a member of the Alpha Kappa Alpha fraternity, and he's also the founder and CEO of, I'll say the acronyms, JADSPEP, Jazz Pep, I believe, the football nonprofit organization, and again, his brother, the Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. And without further ado, I introduce the Honorable Trustee Aaron Peppers.
How you doing, sir?
Good to see you, Brother Peppers. Thank you for joining us this evening. How you feeling?
Oh, man, God is great, man. Woke up today. Thank you, Jesus.
Amen. And one thing I want to open up with is Trustee Peppers is also write-in candidate for mayor for the village of Maywood. So I want to make sure I mention that. But before we get into the political aspect of our conversation, Brother Peppers, you and I mentioned in the intro that we go back decades on a baseball field.
Oh,
and yeah, decades, man. Talking about the 70s, going back to the 70s.
Yeah, we're 70s.
You know,
we rocked in the 70s.
Yeah. So people who don't know Aaron Peppers, and I know this because, you know, we competed on the same baseball field against each other, but we also became friends and brothers. Aaron Peppers, he played Little League Baseball when there was a Little League and Pony League and minor league for that matter in the village of Maywood. So I became acquainted with him when he was playing for First Federal, and I was playing for Robinson. And there was a little bit of rivalry because Pep had, well, call him Pep, Trustee Peppers. He had guys. I mean, go ahead. I know Randy McFarland was on your team.
Oh, yeah. Let me name a few of my teammates, man.
Hey. Only like one or two, right? We're gonna only one or two.
Just one or two. Okay, well, I gotta start off with Chuck Turner, my best friend in the world, and then let's just say you said Randy already. Let's just say Kenny Smith, Lee Thompson, and Tabby McCall. I just leave it at that.
Right. That's good. but the rivalry we had during that stretch of time. We had, like I said, Clifford Scales. We had who else was on that team? Oh, we had
Mark
Bubba,
Gibson,
Willie Williams.
Yeah.
We had Mark Gibson. Yeah, Gibson. Yeah. I mean, both teams were loaded, man. We played against each other that first time you guys beat us. I mean, the park was packed. I mean, you think this was like a minor league baseball game. Yeah, right outside of the Freehampton pool. I mean, They weren't even watching the Pony League game at that time. They were watching our game, you know.
It was more exciting.
And who was that, Mr. Block? Yeah, Mr. Block was calling the game, right? From above in the clubhouse. Yeah. And, you know, you guys won that first game, and then we won the rematch, and then there was a playoffs, the American League, playoffs, National League. Yeah,
we went
real playoffs.
We won extra innings, man. Remember that?
I do.
Struck out Bub with a 3-2 count, and we went to extra
Yeah.
innings. Yeah, I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember
Yeah.
saying to myself, I throw a ball, I lose the game, and my boy Chuck was gonna talk about me all the way home. So I wasn't throwing the ball.
Right. No, it was good. But in short, you guys pulled out the extra inning victory, and you got the World Series was played at Winfield Scott Park,
Yeah.
right there on 17th or 18th of Maywood Drive, right?
Right.
You guys played against the late Johnny Blakemore and Terrence Murphy,
Yeah.
who are
There.
who I wrestled with and
Yeah.
Proviso.
And also rest in peace, Coach Don
Was
Johnson.
it there?
Don Johnson.
That's right, Coach Johnson.
Yeah, he just passed a couple of weeks ago. So homage to him and blessings to him and his family. Yeah, great coaching mate. Great coach.
Yeah, definitely. Bless him. Oh, he was. Yeah. He wasn't just a coach. He was right there with Snow Baby. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he was a mentor. He was a father figure in the community. Great guy.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So you guys spanked Murphy Zayers at Winfield Scott. What was the final score?
20-6.
What was the final score?
20-6. They got a few runs.
I think Murphy pitched
the slaughter rule.
to that game, didn't he?
Huh? What'd you say?
Right. I said Murphy pitched in that game, didn't he?
Yeah, he did. I hit a couple of homers. I pitched that game. We had fun. It was a party. Under the lights.
Yeah. Under the lights. Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes. So, you transition. You also play, Pony League baseball for Horseman. Was it Horseman, right?
Yeah. Yeah, coach. I had Coach Larry Ivy. Yeah, that was nice. So it was actually at that time.
It was real cool. We had Yeah. And there was that rivalry renewed. You had Randy on your squad. You had a couple other fellas. We had Darwin Montana, Brian Coleman, the Blair twins,
Yeah. Y'all were loaded.
It was battles. It was some battles.
But I remember
So
I remember my coach told me. I remember my coach told me back in the day, no matter what the lineup is, if you got good defense and a good pitcher, you got a chance. So I believed in that.
Yeah, absolutely. So you went on to Proviso East. You played baseball and football at Proviso East, and through that earned a scholarship to the University of Louisville. Talk about that experience growing up in Maywood as a student athlete, Pep.
It was just the way of the community. I remember, we went to games at Fifth Park, and we weren't even playing. We were the little guys, but it was just an era of baseball and community, and everybody wanted to be there. Fred Hampton Pool was as we said, was bouncing. It was just the place to be. Fifth Park was electric. There was activities going on. We had baseball games. You had people in the pool. You had your coaches telling you at the time, "Hey, don't swim before the games." So we'd have to sneak and swim before the games. But big games, my dad was always involved. He didn't let me go outside. It was a championship game. I couldn't be in the sun too long. I had so many restrictions. Relax, eat a little breakfast, just rest for your game. So I listened to him, but I didn't want to. All my friends were going to the pool and this and that. But it was an electric time. It was a experience that I wouldn't change it for the world. Me and my wife were talking about it actually a few weeks ago. Growing up in Maywood was priceless to us. I had the best childhood a kid could ask for.
Absolutely. And I just want to transition. We had a lot of you and I. We had influence of our older siblings, particularly our brothers, who made sure that we kept our nose clean and we were straight, and we didn't get ourselves in trouble because they saw potential in us because they instilled those values, and we watched them, and they made sure that we stayed on that right path. And because it starts at home, we had our older brothers. You had your brother. I had my brother Onion, Dirk, Phil, Chris, that kind of
Yeah.
thing. We were able to move forward. And so, talk about your experiences playing for University of Louisville on a football scholarship and just being a student athlete, man.
Well, the first thing is I had to divert. I went to school first in Dubuque, Iowa, and then I went from Dubuque, Iowa, not having a great experience, and then I ended up playing baseball at Malcolm X. So the thing about that, you look at it and you got to strike while it's hot. So I was there with one of my former teammates, Tim Gibson. He actually got me to play because I was trying to just get my grades together, and find out, the reconnection I can go. And after I went to Iowa, I said, he came to me and he said, well, we playing baseball here at Malcolm X. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. He said, no, you need to come out. Little did I know, when I came out, I still had it. So we went together. We had those things. It was a ultra connection between me and Tim. We beat Triton. Played against Chris Jude. I never forget that, because we beat them that first game of the doubleheader. And Triton was the JC of the nation, so to speak. You had Vance Law and Kirby Puckett go through there, and we beat them soundly in that first game. So in between the games, I remember they had practice. We sitting up there eating sandwiches and drinking juice and Gatorade. I'm looking up, they practicing. They practicing during the time between the doubleheader, because they were embarrassed because their program got beat by Malcolm X. And then the second game was close. They lost that one too, but it was a better game. So we took that. His coach name was Coach Washington, and he said he had some connections at the University of Louisville. And I said, well, I don't know. He said, hey, man, you're pretty good. You got to check it out. So I checked it out. I went down there and was down there for baseball and about to play baseball. And then the football thing came around. But I give you a quick story. Going
Yeah.
out there on that field, you realize a lot of things. You realize that you might have thought you were that type of athlete, but you saw some of them dudes. Hey, it was different, man. I saw some of them dudes from Florida. It was different. And then you had the young guys coming down there like Ray Buchanan, and they just had a different motive. And so I said real quick, I gotta get in these studies, man. Because they were different athletes. And you find out, you might have been the guy on the block.
Right.
Man, you start getting them Texas guys, those Florida guys. Man, it was different, man. Yeah. They were just different athletes.
Wow. My son plays football out in West Virginia, college football. And, he was sharing that same story about these guys who are coming from, West Virginia and Florida. And, it's a little different now because you got, transfer. You can transfer like 8 times and play 7 years, in college.
Yeah, that's a cheat code there, man.
Right, exactly. So you got 26-year-olds playing, safety and stuff. I'm like, man, why don't you go be a teacher or something? Why are you still playing? But, he loves it, and more power to you guys who are on a gridiron or were on a gridiron. But you were able to successfully transition. Before I ask you that question, pre-show you were showing the wall, so you transitioned into you while you were a police officer, you started running, right? So I'm gonna ask you about that. What was your focus to get involved with running? And I want the audience to see that wall, the walls that you were showing us. Do you mind showing the walls, Trustee Peppers?
All right, I give you a little preview of the walls, man. You asked.
Check this out, audience. Check this out.
They go the walls. They go the wall. Here go one wall over here. If I can get this one, that's part of a wall right there. You got that wall that's behind me, and then you got the academic wall over here. Yeah. So we got a few walls. It's a lot of sweat and tears and time in this room here studying, and it's to God be the glory. It's a lot of work. But you can do anything you want to do. You put your mind to it.
Absolutely. And that's how we were trained growing up. So, no knock against the generation of today's athletes, but the reality is we didn't have participation awards. You know,
Nah,
if you were good enough to be MVP, you know what I'm saying, or all conference or whatever, then you get the award. But if you were a scrub, like, if you played baseball, you weren't that good in Little League, what they do? Where would they put you, Pep? Where they send you if you weren't good?
in right field.
Right
Because we
field,
didn't have a
baby.
lot of left hand hitters, so the ball wasn't gonna go out there that much. So we would
Right,
put the that type of player in the right field, and then as you grew and went to Pony League and high school, the right fielder had the big arm, and he was a different type of athlete. But in Little
right,
League, we put you in right field.
right field. Yeah. Ain't no knock. It's just the way it was. I mean, our coaches they were transparent. I mean, they were blunt, and it's like, we're going to put you in right field. And it's either that or the bench. But
Yeah.
then you develop and you grow. You move
Right.
over. So here we are. You're a trustee of Maywood. I want to ask you, what was your motivation for getting into politics, the political arena in the first place, especially because you were a law enforcement officer for the village of Maywood. What was the motivation behind that?
The motivation came when I prayed on it, and I decided that I could help people. I really had an opportunity to help people, and also I could help the police department because I knew the ins and outs, being there 25 years, of what the officers needed. I was a voice for them, and I understood their needs of resources, equipment. We talk about radios, we talk about squad cars, we talk about training. Um, it was a lot of fun being a police officer in Maywood. I relish it. It was kind of like my childhood. Some people, when you go to work, it wasn't work to me. It was a chance to engage with our
Mm,
citizens and help people. Uh, I look forward to it. It was times I remember one of my former lieutenants, Lieutenant Jenkins. I would come in, I would work my shift 3 to 11. But it might have been a suspected drug dealer that I wanted to catch, because I tried to. We had a crew. We wanted to rid our community of crime. So I get off work at
right.
11, and I would get with guys like Yancey or Sam's, and they'd be on the midnight shift, and they'd be like, "What's going on, Pep?" I say, "Man, dude, on 6, man. I mean, on 13th and 600 block. I gotta get him, man. I gotta get him. He in the bushes. He doing this and that. We gotta get him." He said, "Well, how we gonna get him?" I said, "All right, you're gonna get in your squad car, come down this way. You're gonna come northbound. You're gonna go southbound. He's gonna run east. And when he run east, I'm gonna be in the alley." So we would catch him, take him to the station, inventory all the evidence. And then I remember the lieutenant saying, "Hey, man, you ain't getting overtime for that." And I would tell him, "I don't care about overtime. I want to get him off our streets." So it was just it
Right.
was a different mentality that, we weren't out there to try and get money. We worked
Right.
overtime. Don't get me wrong, but it
Right.
was important. When I came home from college, it was like our community was different. It was we
Yeah.
had nicknames. It was Murderwood. It was things of that nature. I was like, this is
Yeah.
not the community I grew up in. So
Mm-mm.
I wanted to make sure
Mm-mm.
I made a difference. I didn't want to be on the sideline and say woulda, coulda, shoulda. I said, well, get
Yeah.
involved and use some of your skills, and let's get this together. And we had a great team of Maywood police officers. Everybody I
Mm-hmm.
worked with in the Maywood Police Department, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys, and I
Amen.
am so proud of the things that we were able to do together. And I thank God for the opportunity, and I thank you guys for your professionalism and just the journey. Sometimes we don't
Yeah.
embrace the journey of things. We always want to put things in the microwave. Embrace the journey. The
Mm-hmm.
journey is great. It's history. It's history.
No question about it. No question about it. And you put in 25 years as a police officer. Is that right? 25 years?
That's correct. That is correct.
Wow. So when you reached that point where you had prayed and the Lord revealed what direction He wanted you to go, and you decided to run for trustee, was it at that point that you wanted to just focus on that? I know that you were or are a football coach at Proviso East. Was that the time where you felt it was, time to move forward into that realm to get into politics?
Yeah, I looked at it as an opportunity and being able to be resourceful for our police department, our community. And then I have a relationship with the youth that's it's priceless. I mean, it's just the engagement that we have, the young men that I've been able to touch through football and law enforcement and change lives. I just give you a quick story. My wife say I talk a lot, but it's a couple of stories I like to tell. I remember one time I had a young man. We had just did a raid. I was on the SWAT team with Wayne Welch and Arian Wade and other guys. And I remember we standing there. I got on the whole SWAT Turtle Ninja helmet, the AR-15, all that stuff. And it was a kid that walked up to me when I was securing the perimeter. And two kids walked up and they said, "Hey, Coach Pep." And I looked and I'm like, I'm in the full police intimidation vest, everything. And the kid came up and said, "Hey, Coach Pep, how you doing? You okay?" And that was just like, wow, they really put things in perspective. As my wife always tell me, listen to your calling, and that was great. And then the other thing I would say, I remember my children were little, my daughters were young, and I was at North Riverside Mall, and a lot of the gangbangers at the time when the Jordans came out, they wouldn't be in the street. They all had to have the Jordans, and just this time I'm in the mall with my daughters, and they're young and this and that, and I see man, it's like 30 of them. They deep. And I'm walking up and they say, "That's Officer Peppers." And they all come around me. And I'm thinking like, man, I got my daughters. This is that gang. I'm trying to think of how I'm going to protect my daughters. And they came up to me and said, "Hey, man, you one of the good ones. If it was one of them the other guys that's shady, this wouldn't turn out this way. Keep being who you are. And we respect you. So have a good day." And I was holding my daughter's hands and I'm walking through the mall and I'm just like, wow, God bless me, because I didn't know how that was going to turn out.
Right, definitely. Well, it just goes, that's a testament to the relationship that you've built, not just with the youth, bro, but the community at large. Someone like yourself who's giving back your time, your talent, and your treasure, like you said, blood, sweat, and tears. People recognize that, even if you don't think they're watching, we had people watching us when we were growing up. And the young people, as you know, when they can trust you, they gravitate to you, regardless of what stage they are in their life. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, that is correct. I give you another quick one real quick.
Yeah,
I'm
for
uh
sure.
I'm,
Sure.
I'm the security director for District 209 for all three schools in our district. So we're having a holiday tournament over at Proviso West. And this young man come up to me and say, "Hey, Officer Peppers, can I take a picture with you? Can I take a picture with you?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure." So he said, we standing there, we taking the picture. His mom is taking the picture. And then he looked at me and he said, "I'm a police officer." And I said, "Well, to God be the glory. Congratulations." And he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I was like, "No, son, I don't. I'm sorry." He said, "You used to be the officer at the school, Proviso East, assigned from Maywood when I was going there. And I watched you and everything you did. You the reason I became a cop." And then he brought his whole family over and we took pictures. We posted on Facebook. And my mom always uses this analogy. "Did he put a finger in your eye?" I said, "Mama, he put two fingers in my eye. It took everything in me not to cry." You get sensitive when you get older, man. I used to be hard as nails back in the day. Now I'm a father, grandfather. I ain't as rough and tough as I used to be. So, I have a little more emotion and empathy, and spirituality. But back in the day, I was rough and tough. But that touched me. That really touched me, that young man brought his
Oh
family
yeah.
and said he's a cop
Yeah.
because of me. I've been doing something right, and that's a
Yeah.
blessing and a testimony to Christ.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I just want to also mention your wife, Sean is her name, right? Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Sean is your wife's
Sean
name,
Webb
and you have four
Peppers.
beautiful
Sean
children.
Webb. Yes, sir.
Sean
Yes,
Webb
sir.
Peppers, thank you. You have
Yeah,
four beautiful children, and you
yeah.
mentioned your wife saying follow your calling. I mean, how much influence has she and even your children had in terms of you say, okay, I hear what God is saying. I heard my wife, saying be obedient to my calling. How much have they influenced you as you go through the process of running and winning a seat as a trustee, and now going through the process of being a trustee, and then before you go to your next challenge of running for mayor? How much influence have they had on you?
Um, I always tell my family this: every breath that I take is for them. None of this happens without them. Um, they are the substance that make me happy. You had a trinity of God, family, community. I love my family so much, and I respect them. My father raised me being a family man, and we've always had big Thanksgivings, big barbecues. Most people you go to their house on Thanksgiving, it's like 12 people. Uh, you know, Now at our reunions, our family Thanksgiving, we rent out halls. We 60 swole. That's how the Peppers family roll. Um, I really love my and admire my children, all of them. Ashanti, Delia, Joshua, Mari. Um, they all do great things. They influence me every day. I work hard for them. Um, my wife is. I look at her and it's kind of like we actually, without pushing each other, we push each other.
Yeah, yeah,
We both were in grad school together, and she
nice.
changed my mentor in grad school. I was in grad school. My goal was to get an A out of every class. And then I remember I looked in her notebook, and she had 27 straight 100s. And I said, "What's this?" She said, "These are all the assignments, classes, and the test and everything." Oh man, I changed my whole mental. Right after that
Right,
class, I wanted 100 in
right.
everything, and I did. I graduated
Yeah.
an MBA program, top of the class. That's how I got the Stanley
Mm.
Hall Award. I mean, you
Okay.
see, so I had never thought about that, and
Hmm.
actually,
Wow.
she was the reason I got started with the kids, because I was, as my mom would say, I was courting her. Uh,
Right.
and
Love
she
it.
was a camp counselor for the park district. And I was coming up there
Mm.
every day just to see her,
Right.
eyes wide open, wanting to see her, want to be around her. And I remember after 2, 3 weeks of it, Miss Fair and Connie Kitchens and all those camp counselors
Okay.
asked me, "Why don't you be a camp counselor?" And I was like, "I guess so." So I,
Right.
I did it. And they gave me all they bad kids. Oh man. They gave me all the bad boys. But I
They
tell you a
set
quick
you
story
up.
about that. Set me up.
Yeah.
So in less than a week, we were online, in line, military style.
Mm.
I remember Kendall and Princeton and all those guys,
Mhm.
and they just wanted somebody to give them instructions and love them and encourage them. And I remember we would get ready to go on field trips, this and that. And all other camp counselors like, "Hold on, how you get them boys like that? Man, they were messing up in my group, wouldn't listen, this and that." But it was a pride. It was a sense of pride. So that's actually how I started coaching football for the Maywood Bucks through Mac Bellis. It started at the camp there.
Nice. Nice. Very good. Did you coach with Speed? Was he there
Yeah,
at the
yeah,
time?
yeah. I was one of the I had the Mighty Mites. It was so much fun to watch those little guys with the helmets being bigger than
Okay.
them, and I had to implement offense and defense. But it actually gave me an opportunity to learn how to coach, and that was a
Yes.
blessing.
Yes.
That was something I really bought into it. If I had to thank one coach, I would thank Jesse Ingram, Jesse X. He came
Mhm.
over, and I modeled my coaching style and my order with the kids. I emulated how he did it, and I
Mhm.
carried that on through my coaching career. Discipline, camaraderie, team,
Yeah.
sportsmanship, everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I really like to pay homage to Jesse for that.
Absolutely. Jesse Ingram. Absolutely. Good brother. He 2 feet down, man. He definitely is in it for the community. No question. And you mentioned that your family is, there with you. They're supporting you. And
Yeah.
as you prepare to run for mayor, to be the next mayor of Maywood, I want to ask, what are the biggest challenges that you see facing Maywood, and how would you address those challenges if you were mayor?
Right now, I'll say the biggest challenge is trust. Um, we have a lot of trust issues in our community from um, us at the dais as elected officials. Things have transpired that we're not proud of. Um, we have to get that trust back. To get that trust back, you have to have accountability. You definitely have to transform the community and engage the community. Um, transparency is that everybody look at it as a fancy word, but the bottom line is we all make mistakes. We all fall short of the glory of God. But when you do, just admit you made a mistake, ask for forgiveness, and make sure you don't make the same mistakes again. Put the tools together, put people around you to make sure those things don't happen, and always try and be a better person every day. That's what's
Yeah,
important. That's what's important. But once we get the trust back, then we need to work collaboratively. We need to work together in unison. Um, Out here campaigning, I'm learning. Listen. God has blessed us with two ears and one mouth for a reason. Listen to what people want. Don't think about what you might want, what you think is good. Be in the community, hit these doors, walk in these community centers. Make sure you engage with the youth, speak to the seniors. They paved the way for us. We have to pay homage to them. We have to show respect. Put some respect on them because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't have these opportunities. We have to engage in our community and understand what's important. Um, I would say what's important from what I've been learning with the citizens is a grocery store. Um, I wouldn't just say one. I mean, you have to put strategic
mm-hmm.
planning together. Yeah, you can revitalize the one on Fifth, but make sure that one on Fifth is engaged with the community, the surrounding community, right there in that area, walking distance. Let's set up something with Kroger so we can have online shopping for our senior homes that's in that community. They can't get out. It's dangerous for them to be out. I see some of them crossing the streets, pushing uh, helpers, as I call it with my mother-in-law. You got your helper with you going rolling across the street. That's you got to worry about cars and this and that. And one of the things I also learned is our seniors don't have support systems that our families have. They're out there by themselves. They don't have a cousin or sister or brother coming by checking on them. So they need a community to help them. That's important. And yeah, we can get another grocery store over there on First Avenue and Lake Street, and then we can strategic plan and make sure that one's got the spruce of people shopping and hitting into an intersection that's strategically planned, and it's conducive for our community, River Forest, Melrose Park, people who drive and have transportation. Yes, but we need one for the community that's right there adjacent for people to walk, for senior assistance. Make sure the market inside there, the first fresh produce and everything to that nature is something that
Yeah,
our community can afford.
absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
yeah, that's important.
Yeah, Renika Smith, she just made a comment. I would love to see the family structure built back up in Maywood, and that was kind of like what you were saying in part. With the family structure, the support of the seniors, the support of the youth, to refocus on family. Because we grew up, we were families. We had our
Mhm.
own homes, but we were a collective community, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah,
So
I
I'm
give you an
glad you
example.
mentioned strategic plan.
Yeah, strategic planning.
Yeah, go give an example. Get an example, please.
So if we put a grocery store at First Avenue, you have to make sure that people don't understand that Maywood has, okay, let's say 25,000, 20,000 people. But in the morning, people commuting, and then in the evening, people commuting, going through our town. Oh, the statistics will show, because through law enforcement, Maywood becomes a community during the rush hours, morning and evening, a community of 500 or more thousand, because of the traffic that goes through it. You got First Avenue right there. You got to get to the expressway. You got to get to North Avenue. You got Ninth Avenue right there going to the expressway. You got to get to North Avenue. Then you have the travels that go east and west, Lake Street. You got Chicago Avenue. You got a lot of cars coming through here. You got people coming off of 290. I don't want to be in this traffic. Let me shoot through here. Where they shooting through? They shooting through Maywood. So if you strategically plan, and you have to work with the teams that are here. Okay, so you say Kroger. Kroger's here. Kroger's at 19. Kroger has online delivery. Okay, well, people don't understand this. Food for Less is Kroger. So work with Kroger and get the online shopping. Make sure it's viable. You got a lot of young people in our community that this and that. They want to get something quick. I'll share a story with you. I'm actually embarrassed as an elected official that this happened. It was July. I'm coming home from one of my camps of practice at Proviso East, and I said, "Oh man, I'm gonna make me a salmon burger. I need some bread. We out of bread." So I'm coming down Washington Boulevard en route to my house, and I said, "Oh, I need some bread." And I said, "Well, hold on, I can go over to this gas. I'm not buying no bread at no gas station. I like wheat bread, honey wheat. Let me get some honey wheat bread. They not gonna have what I want." Oh man, what? And I was confused. And I sat at the light, and then I pulled over at Fifth. I said, I gotta get some bread. And here I am, this guy in this community, this and that. I ended up going to Costco. I had to drive from Fifth Avenue, went straight down Fifth, went to Costco and got the dual pack of honey wheat bread. And I said, this is totally embarrassing and unacceptable. I'm an elected official, and I can't provide services for our people in Maywood. This is not right. So yeah, I understand we ribbon cutting on businesses in Maywood, and to God be the glory. I love all the businesses in Maywood. And everybody on that board with us, we doing it collectively. But let's think about what we need. Let's think about what's sustainable. We think about restaurants. Some of the restaurants are sustainable. Some of them can be family restaurants, but some of them are not. Right. Grocery stores, if it's strategic plan right, and listen, you got to understand something. When you're in a room with a team and everybody has input, it can't be about you. So it's not about me. I need to learn that I'm blessed with 2 ears and a mouth for a reason. I can never be in a room where I'm the smartest person. I need to listen to everybody. Everybody has talent. We have to utilize those talents, put it together, and let's have a winning team. So it's a team effort. It's not an individual thing. So when you walk into a room and you have a plan and this and that, put your plan together. Okay, but Dr. Ratliff might have a plan. Let's listen to his plan. Okay, well, we move over here and such got a plan. And then we collaborate, and then we take things together, and then we go ahead and do the investing and we market it. And then after we do that, okay, let's do a feasibility study. Let's do these things. Let's make it right. We have to put all that together to make things right. And that's the substance of where I grew up in Maywood, because everything I'm talking about, that was the direction without all the fancy words in your household. You understand this, Dr. Ray. When you were outside playing catch with your friends, if that ball went in Miss Johnson's yard, Miss Johnson will give you a play a couple of times. But on that third one, Miss Johnson would say, hey, Reggie, don't let that ball come in my yard again. I'm going to have to tell your dad. Ooh, my dad. You know what? We stopped. In my area where I grew up at on 7, we would stop. We go right over to St. James. We play ball at St. James. We were not going to. I didn't even know Miss Johnson knew my name. So that she knew my name. So she knew my name. She said, "Don't have me tell your dad."
Right.
You telling my dad was like a red alert, man. Look, I would rather for you tell my mom. I get to speak. this and that. You tell my dad was working 16-hour days. He ain't had time for my mess.
Right. Yeah, no
No, my
doubt.
dad was my hero. He put the
Right.
family on his back. He didn't care about himself. It was all about us. So
Yeah,
don't tell
for
my
sure.
dad. He was tired. He was
Right.
working
Yeah, I feel
unbelievable.
you on that. Yeah.
Yeah, so everybody got to work together. It's a collaborative effort. A lot of people have talent.
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, for your area, yeah, definitely. We wound up going to Van Buren, to play
Okay.
strikeabout or
Yeah, right. You went to
football or
Van Buren,
whatever.
we
So
went to right. Yeah.
yeah, so yeah,
With St. James. Yeah.
yeah, for sure. Yeah. So I want to take a deeper dive into the strategic plan. Now,
Okay.
the Village of Maywood has not published a strategic plan since 2013, and there's a infusion of revenue stream coming in from the casino. And certainly one would think from an economic standpoint, since we talk about economic development, that there would be a strategic plan in place, and inclusive of that would be some type of balance sheet or projected balance sheet to show how those funds will be allocated. So perhaps maybe you reduce the tax burden, maybe build infrastructure. Who knows? There's options. There are options when you can get certain amount of thousands of millions of dollars in there. And yes, Maywood did used to have a business district on Fifth Avenue from St. Charles to St. Charles to Lake Street. Thank you, Miss Nadine Reed. I remember that like it was yesterday. There was the White Way right there on Fifth Avenue, right? There was a Lido Theater right down the street.
Right. Oh man, the Lido, you went back, man. Thank you,
oh,
man. I stayed in the
Bruce
Lido all
Lee,
day and went home.
I mean,
Went home and was on punishment.
yeah, exactly. It was $1 to get in the theater back then. $1. We didn't have to go to Hillside. We just go to Lido Theater. But Mayor Freelon kept the community focused and on point, as well as the trustees. They worked together. Did they always get along? No, they did not. But they worked together to maintain the businesses and support us through like Little League baseball or football or basketball. Our academics, just a couple of days ago, we had Dawn Williams on. She's running for re-election for commissioner of our district, and she was talking about her granddad. She was talking about Dawn Williams. And I mean, it was a community, man. It was a community. And when you don't have a strategic plan, it's like you're planning to fail. People don't plan to fail. They just fail to plan. So a strategic plan is essential in building, or in this case, rebuilding a community. And I'm glad you mentioned strategic plan. So I want to give you another, couple moments to talk about your vision of how that strategic plan will look if you were elected mayor of Maywood.
Well, once you put your team together and you get the strategic plan, you put it together, and what's your goal? Well, the goal has to be conducive for our citizens and our businesses. So we have to collaborate the two of them. So yeah, you mentioned that type of revenue with the gaming. You have other revenues that you can come in. Some people might shun upon them. But if you plan for it, you release a tax burden on the citizens of Maywood, and they will love that group forever. I'm telling you, as a homeowner that has 2 pens, and every time I look up, yeah, taxes go up, your mortgage go up because of your taxes. Once you put the plans together, you have to execute them. So you did mention if you don't have a plan, you planning to fail.
Right.
So my background, I have a master's in business. I want you to understand what that is. Master's in business, and it's not easy getting a master's in business. So when you're putting your strategic plan together, I'll just give you some insight. So you'll say a grocery store. Okay, that's all right. We have to put our strategic plan on that location, allocating funds. Okay, online shoppers as opposed to what time is the influx of people coming in here during the crunch time. Okay, let's do this. How about a sports complex at Fifth Park glorifying Fred Hampton Aquatic Center and putting some respect on who he is in our community, what he's done for our community, what he's done for the Chicagoland area and our nation. And let's put that together. Okay, well, you say, well, sports complex. Okay, we can use that. I always tell my kids this. Now, anybody that knows Coach Pep, I tell them this. Use sports as a bridge to get where you want to go. So I always taught my kids, okay, we're going to get in these colleges, but we're not leaving these colleges without these degrees. Football, basketball, whatever it is, have fun, work hard. But there's only so many guys that make it. But when you leave with something tangible, don't go to that university without that degree. Do not leave without that degree. Please do not leave without that degree. So understand who you are. So when you go there and you have these plans and you get in a aquatic center, you get in a grocery store, you beautify Fifth Avenue. I mean, it was our business district. You know, we had May Park. You know, we had the Lido. We had things. Okay, so we might not have those things. There are other things that we can have there. You know, we have the restaurant coming right across the street from the post office there. Okay, let's make sure we go down and beautify some things. Let's make sure things are tangible for our community.
Right.
Let's make sure that they're safe. Let's take care of our police department. Our police department should not be working in those type of facilities. I tell people all the time, if one day I'm walking down the street and you see me glowing, it ain't glowing from God. It's glowing because it was a cancer cluster at our police department. We can't just mask it and put paint on mold. You know, we were flooding there. We were flooding for years, and we just come clean it up and put paint on it. That's not good. Let's show love to our community. It's important to have a strategic plan and everybody working together. It ain't about one person and my idea. It's about a team effort. And you know, in football, you learn it's the ultimate team sport. So in life, if you take those tools and you put a team together, it could be a team effort for a goal that's conducive for our community. It doesn't have to be about the individual. It's about what our community needs and what our community wants, understanding and respecting the history and where we are and where we can go, and utilizing our talents here. Our community you talked about sports talent. Our community has educational talent in it. I mean, we yourself, you play Little League Baseball with me, Dr. Ratliff. Man, that's powerful. Things like that motivate me. I'm going back to get my doctoral in the fall. I'm starting a doctoral program in the fall. So education, you know, I heard somebody say something one time, man, why he still going to school? He 50 years old. My third grade teacher, Mama Betts, rest in heaven, told me that education is the key. And that's something that nobody can ever take away from you. People have died for you to have the opportunity to get education, and you need to respect it and understand what it's for. It's to empower yourself and understand the knowledge. Don't just go to get grades. Learn what you're doing and learn how to apply it and help people with it. That's what it is.
Absolutely. No, brother, that's a great breakdown. I mean, as Miss Peggy Alexander mentioned, you know, the history of Maywood is important because if you don't know where we come from, you won't know where you're going. And that's kind of what I see in Maywood. We don't talk enough about the history of Maywood. You have history, then you have his story, which ain't always true. So we talk about the history. It is history when you talk about a Mayor Freeline. It's historic when you see the first Black female billionaire come from Maywood. And you see everything that's happening from academia. You see everything from athletics. You see everything there. I just saw on social media recently someone does something with instruments. They play the piano or something like that. They're being honored. I mean, we're in the arts. I mean, we have such a diverse talent group that's come through Maywood, that's raised in Maywood. In our time, Pep, it was about 30,000. The population of Maywood was about 30,000 strong with businesses and things like that. And I understand evolution caused some decline, increase, kind of like the stock market. It goes up, it goes down. But you have to put pieces in place to secure the future. So when you talk about the strategic plan, and you talk about those who died to receive an education, people also died to vote. People before us, they died before, and then not to mention that they pay a poll tax to
Right.
vote. You know,
Right.
so when you think about that, man, that's history. That's historic. And then you see the turnout in Maywood is like what 18% who come out to vote. I mean, so it just says something. It goes back to what you were saying with trust.
Right.
Talk about
Yeah.
trust.
Yeah.
There's a lack of trust from the community. And you
Yeah.
also go ahead.
Yeah. When you talked about the ability to vote, I remember when I was at University of Louisville and Clinton was running for president, and I remember I ran to that poll. It was getting close to that time because I sprinted. I got there and got that vote in, and I'm gonna give you the irony of that. So when I became a police officer in Maywood, a lot of people don't know this. I came in on the Bill Clinton grant. He gave a grant to Maywood for so many officers for 3 years to pay our salaries, and I was part of
Mm.
that. So I said to myself, if I didn't run those 12 blocks to get to that poll in Kentucky to cast that vote, I might not have had that opportunity with that grant and him creating that bill. So I mean, we have to come out and vote. It's important. You have to have your voice heard. We sit and complain. I'm sitting here talking about, oh, I got two PIN numbers. My taxes is high, this and that. Well, let's make a change. Let's make a difference. Let's vote for somebody who's going to try and advocate things and allocate things and have strategic planning and understand the history of the community. I remember we had Maywood Fest, and we had a elected official talking about it's the first time we having fireworks here and this and that, and I was just like, nah. Freeline, and we had it on. We were on the baseball field, and I remember my cousin Denard Wade and Arian Wade. They were just really into fireworks, and they went out on that baseball field and assisted, and they had all of the things shooting up. I like looking at them. I ain't like getting close to it, but they were really into that. And so when I heard that, I said it was like what you said, his story, not understanding our history. We have history. We love one another. We are family based. It's some things that happen that diverted us from things, but as a family, we can always come back together and understand who we are. You always revert back to your roots, even when you make a mistake. You that parent will discipline you, and that's part of it. But after that discipline, they will encourage you and hug you and uplift you. That's that Christ base that we have.
Yeah.
You'll know this. I'm just gonna say something because I'm talking about what I'm talking about, like Pastor Wiley said.
Right. Right.
Uh, you remember this? Uh, you need to get up early Saturday or tonight. It'll be Friday night like this, and have all your chores done.
Yeah.
Because if they not done, you ain't going to no baseball game. I don't want to
That's
hear
right.
nothing about you. You ain't going. This
No doubt.
house, you gonna do what I tell you in this house, or there ain't gonna be no baseball, or there ain't
No
gonna
doubt.
be no gymnastics, whatever
Oh
it
yeah.
was, there ain't gonna be no basketball.
Yeah.
So that structures the foundation and the fabric of who we are in our
Absolutely.
community.
And I just want to mention this, Trustee Peppers. There were single parents even back then when we were growing up. Um,
Yeah.
but the difference was the community came together and they provided assistance and they worked
Mm-hmm.
together so that whoever, whatever the reason was for them to become a single parent, they were supported by the community.
Yeah.
And they were able to do things like go shopping or vote or go to
Right.
school, graduate school at night, or whatever the case
Yeah.
may be. And that's
Yeah.
the piece that's really missing. But I want to ask you, you talked about trust. And there's a lack of trust in Maywood right now. You know,
Yes.
the elephant in the room that's on social media a lot is Mayor Nathaniel Booker's DUI arrest in 2022. Certainly that impacted the community. And so, as a trustee, did that cause a division on the board amongst leaders? And then, from your purview, how do you think the community at large has responded to that incident that took place at that time?
Um, I would say this. I personally, as a trustee, went to all our events. Um, that was a that was a tough one because the event I think happened on a Thursday. Um, we had the state of Maywood that Saturday, so I was at the Lifer Center ready, just to see whatever transpired. Um, I didn't like the accountability, the transparency, the communication. Um, it it really it hurt me to the soul, and I had to pray on it, and I had to move on. And when I say move on, I had to move on and understand that when you wake up in the morning and you say your prayers and you pray for everybody, we all fall short of the glory of God. We all make mistakes, but you must admit to your mistakes. I made some mistakes as a husband. I make mistakes as a father. I make mistakes as a police officer, coach, director of security. I can go on and on. But if you're a true leader, you admit that you made a mistake. You answer the questions. You ask for forgiveness and prayer, and you keep it moving, and you be transparent with the communication. My background in law enforcement, we didn't. It wasn't a choice about ethics and accountability. If you weren't transparent in your communication, you couldn't have been a police officer. They will release you. They will fire you. You go to jail. You have rules. We as leaders are held at a higher standard. It's not anything different than being a father, a mom, a sister, a brother. You have to be a leader. If you're in that position, you have to have accountability. And I prayed. I prayed. I felt indifferent. I think on the communication, not on the mistake, but just owning up to whatever transpired and just, communicating to your people. I think accountability is important. Transparency is important. Everybody make mistakes.
Yeah, no
You know,
question.
families make mistakes. I make mistakes every day.
Yeah,
But you have to communicate that, in that type of position that we elected officials. I nah, I don't roll like that. So I just pray for everybody, um, and just hope that the division that ever whatever division might have happened from that, I can only speak on mine.
right.
I felt it was a black eye for our community, and it wasn't a good look. You talk about. I'm just talking about me. Here I am. I was an advocate for the village vehicle for the position of mayor to have a truck, and it wasn't about the individual. I just felt that the position, holding an elected position, elected official position, that you needed a vehicle. You needed that,
Mm.
and for that to happen in that car, and then I had voted for that vehicle. I had no understanding that the transparency wasn't there, the accountability. It was definitely a different feeling. It was a black eye in our community. It's it's still going viral.
Yeah, it is.
Just
It is.
yeah, it's different. It's different. I pray for all families. We all have people in our families that struggle with substance abuse.
Yeah,
Um, we have incidents. My family's no different than anybody else's family.
yeah.
Um, we just have to come together and just admit that we need help and get those resources. Pray, and none of us are better than one another. We all need
Mhm.
each other. But
Yeah.
you go back to that family base and understand who you are. The family base keeps you humble, keeps you grounded, and that's the substance of who you should be. And like we learned in church and at home, you, you won't have no the way you talk and the way you carry yourself every day. They'll know that you faith based. They'll know that
Yeah.
you had parents raising you. You won't
Yeah.
have to ask those questions. You articulate yourself a certain
Mm-hmm.
way, and you
Yeah.
move that way, and everybody will know.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like the division. The division is real. Division is real. I don't
Mm.
know if it's from that. I think it's a plethora of things. Um, but it can't be about just just one person and this and that. It's got to be a
Mm.
collaborative effort. It's a team thing, and it's a whole community. It's a
It
whole
is.
community.
It is.
It's a whole community, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because I got history with
Mhm.
so many people here. I can sit back and listen to your story. I I talked to Andre and about Don, and we talked on the phone for an hour 50 minutes 2 weeks ago
Wow.
when he passed, and I hadn't talked to
Right.
him in at least 10 years. But it's just
Wow.
who we are, yeah. And we didn't even
Yeah.
stop in the hesitation of the conversation. So
Mm.
it's imperative to understand your history. It's imperative to just have humility, because I'll
Yeah.
say this to you: if you don't have humility, God will humble you. I'm
Oh
I'm
yeah.
I'm living proof.
No question.
94, God humbled me, and I'll never forget it. And every day I remember that. And to God be the glory for my wife, Sean Peppers. Thank you for
Yes.
getting us through that. And
Mm.
thank you, baby. She had faith in me. Pastor talk about faith of mustard seed.
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know how she had faith in me in '94, but she
Move
did.
mountains. Yeah.
And here we are today. Thank you. Thank you, Sean Peppers.
Exactly.
Thank
But look, kudos to the sisters out there who tolerate us for who we are and our flaws, character flaws.
you.
Sometimes, I mean,
Mhm.
besides a good man is a good woman, and they're the
Anytime.
ones who keep us uplifted and feeling
Mhm.
strong when we want to give up, right? So
Exactly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
The word of God says, yeah, the word of God doesn't say, as Pastor Wiley used to say, the Bible doesn't say y'all have sinned or most of you have sinned. All have sinned and fallen short
Right.
of the glory of God.
Right.
And with that, yes, with that, do you feel that the community can heal under if Mayor Booker is reelected, or do you feel like it's time to move on? Because you're running as a logging in and a write-in candidate. But do you feel like you could make a difference to bring the community back together and heal from what has taken place a couple 3 years ago or nearly 3 years ago if you were elected mayor?
Yes. To answer your question, yes. But it's going to take a collective effort. We have to bring our community together, and we cannot shun upon those who have transgressions. Um, you know, our family, everybody in our family has something going on. I mean, every address is different, but every household is the same. So faith-based family is imperative to be successful. And listen, I say faith-based. I'm not, whatever your belief is, however you want to slice it, like Pastor Wiley say, you slice that bologna from the middle or the end, it's still good bologna. I want to take my pastor away from slicing that bologna and get him into something more healthy. But if that's what he want to do, raised in Arkansas, I get it. We got to come together, Dr. Ratliff. It's gonna take a lot of work. We got a lot of healing to do, and we have to be professional about it. Sometimes it's not easy being professional when somebody is talking to you a certain way or hollering at you and this and that, and I get it. My police background has gotten me to that point where I can understand that. I mean, I've been cursed out and called everything you can imagine
I'm
as a
sure.
police.
I'm sure.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
sure.
have to understand that you have a elected official. You have a position to uphold. You are the face of your community. So
Absolutely.
yeah, you can't do certain things. Kids are
Mm.
watching. It's just like,
Yeah.
if grandma over there and grandma want to have a Territon 100, grandma gonna go in the back. She ain't gonna smoke it by her kids.
Right.
So
Right.
right. So if you want that drink, hey, you better remember them kids are watching. It was things that I saw growing up in the parks and this and that as a coach that I made sure I wasn't part of. I didn't want the kids saying Coach Pep was over there doing. No, Coach Pep wasn't doing that. Coach
Right.
Pep
Right.
didn't have his hand in it, because if we really understand who we are, it's
Mm-hmm.
not about your first name. It ain't about Reggie. It ain't about Aaron. It's
Right.
about Ratliff. It's about Peppers. It's about
Right.
the name on your back. When you
Yeah.
take the name off your back and put it on your chest and understand who you are and how the family sacrificed to put you in the position you are in now, you will understand. To this day, man, uh, God has blessed me with a man to raise me. My father, aka Pepmo, Wendell Peppers, is my hero. I don't care who you could say. You could say Dr. King, Malcolm X. They are great leaders. They are advocates of our community and our Black history. They have empowered more people than I can ever imagine. But my hero is
Absolutely.
Wendell Peppers. That
Absolutely.
guy, man, I saw him get up, going to work 12, 16-hour days, come home tired, and get right back up and do it again. Didn't want for anything, made sure we were fine, took care of my mom. I saw that. So as a
Mm-hmm.
man, that was who I wanted to be. I wanted to be that father. I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
be that husband. It's not about me. I saw my grandfather do the same thing. So when you
Right.
have men sacrificing and raising families, that meant something to me. That means
Yeah.
everything to me. So when I told you earlier, every breath I take is for my family, I mean
Mm-hmm.
that. I
Yes,
mean
sir.
that. I mean my daughters, Ashanti, my Delia, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Tucker, man, Josh, my wife
Yeah.
Sean.
Yeah.
Everything I do is for them.
Absolutely.
Everything.
No doubt.
And
And that's
so
how,
so
that's
I
how our
expand
family
that in the
was.
community.
Yeah. That's how our
Yeah,
family
I
was.
explain that to our community because I was raised by this community. It wasn't just my parents. It was other people. You call them
Mm-hmm.
TT this, TT that.
Right.
They'll tell you this. You respected them. You ain't curse
Right.
around them. You didn't do certain things
Right.
around there. They come and you
Mm-mm.
tap your boy.
Mm-mm.
You tap. Oh, look
Mm-mm.
up, look up. No, no, because it's gonna get
Yeah.
back to your house. If that get back to your house,
Yeah.
you didn't want to go in that house. You didn't want to go in that house. You
Yes,
know what I'm
sir.
talking
Look,
about. You want to go in
look.
that. Yeah. So yeah,
So I'm gonna tell you a quick story.
yeah. Go ahead. Go ahead. I'm listening.
So in that same vein, I remember growing up, man, and I had a little potty mouth growing up sometimes. I wasn't always saved. I wasn't saved my whole life. Sometimes I let loose some couple cuss words when I'm around my friends and stuff. Randy Milton, Tita Robinson, and you played with Torvis Robinson, right? Torvis,
Yeah,
the
man.
horseman,
Great
right?
center fielder.
Yeah,
Yeah, great center fielder and catcher.
yeah. So
T
yeah,
Rob, baby.
definitely. They're one of the best catchers. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But I'll be hanging out on 15th, with on the block, and I'll say a couple cuss words. All of a sudden, someone grabbed me and started whooping me. I'm thinking like, who is this whooping me? It ain't my dad. He's on the out. And it's Mr. Jackson. Mr. Jackson, who lives 2 doors down. He heard me loud talking, swearing. Dude grabbed me, whooped me when his whatever uniform he was wearing. I'm like, my daddy gonna get you. Mr. Jackson whooped me. Go get that old man. And my dad was like, what you do? And I was
Right.
like,
Right.
what? What?
Right. Yeah. Your dad had his back because it was a
Yep.
whole plethora of
Yep.
everybody in the community that raised
Yep.
us. And we got to
Yes,
get
sir.
back to that substance. That's
Yes,
important. It's
sir.
imperative for us to be successful. Can I give you one quick story?
It's you. Yeah.
Okay, I'll give you one quick story. So when I was a freshman for Louis, I was a hot shot athlete. Thought the world revolved around me. I
Right.
just pitched a no hitter against Fenwick. Got moved up to varsity, so I'm my head was this big. So we had homeroom back then. I give you
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So they announced our grades in homeroom, and I had a 1.67 GPA. I was just trying to be eligible to play ball. And so my dad said, so you ain't going to college? I said, what you mean? I said, I'm gonna go to the pros and play baseball. I'm gonna be in the pros. He said, well, you got to go to college first. Everybody don't go straight out of high school to the pros. And then I said, well, I work a job. He said, what you gonna do? We're in the car together. It's cold. Uh, so I'm like, I'll do something. I said, dude, cool over here. We're at 9th and Lake at the gas station, 9th and Lake. He said, well, I tell you what, because my father owned a record store, he had to do his rounds and get his supplies. So he had to go get some of his supplies before he opened his record store. So he said, okay, you think that dude cool right there, that gas station attendant? I said, yeah, he got a little change machine on his hip. He cool. So he said, okay, I'm going to come back and get you. You find out what's going on with him. So I said, okay, man, my father left me there for 20 minutes. It was cold. I had a little jacket on because, I'm in the car. I'm going inside with him. It was cold. So I came back and got in the car. I slammed the door quick. He said, you found out? I said, yeah. He been working there for 4 years. That change machine and every coin in there is accounted for by that gas station. He live in his mama's basement and he ain't got a real job. He make $1.75 an hour and he live in his mama's basement. And he's 36 years old. Wow. And that story actually took me to understand the value of education. From that moment, I made the honor roll at Proviso East every quarter for the rest of my career. And my sophomore year on, I made the A honor roll.
Wow. Nice.
And so I went from a 1.67 to graduating with a 3.7.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah. So that was it for me. That turned me to turn the corner. I was like, oh, man, I got to go to school. So it's men like that raise you and you understand. It's a whole community. So we got to get back to that. It's time for us men to stand up. And it's not just about having a father. You spoke on single parents. My whole crew, my whole Emerson crew, I think it was 2 of us, maybe 3 of us that had both parents in the household. But it was like 9 of us that hung together. They had single moms, this and that. They didn't hurt from anything. My parents my father took care of them, mentored them. We wore each other clothes, made sure we had fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to get back to the mayoral race. Okay. And I want to ask you, what's your position on the position? I got 2 questions regarding 2 different topics. One is strong mayor or village mayor. And then second, with the whole legal issue with the park districts, with the village board owning certain parks and the Maywood Park District running certain parks. What's your position on that? Meaning, should they merge? Should the village give those parks to the park district where many believe they belong? So first, please address whether you think the strong mayor or village mayor concept should work.
I think we should stay with our a village manager in reference to our government, because we have a managerial government here in the village of Maywood. I'm gonna give you an example of a strong mayor in the wrong hands. It could be a tyrant type of thing. You looking up and you giving your own salaries. You using our community as to pay you. You got to watch that, man. That's not important. I don't want a strong mayor government. I like the managerial government that we have. You have to get a strong village manager to do their job. Make sure they have a voice, assist them. If that doesn't work, it still takes a collaborative effort. It's not about one person. You look at our communities, our surrounding communities with our other mayors, other people play parts. You might see certain faces, but behind the scenes, everybody's involved. It takes a community effort, man. It's not about one individual. The strong mayor thing is all about power. I can't go to work on Monday and just say, "Oh, hey, I just run me $40,000 extra dollars, run me $45,000 on top of this." No, that's not right. That you can't even get that in a video game, man. I don't know what we're trying to do here. You have to engage in our community. You have to put things out for the community to understand it. Uh, you have to see what the citizens want. Town hall meetings. You bring those things back. You find out what the board of trustees are willing to do. You come back to the town hall meeting. You invest in your community. You hear the voices. You don't block people out from their comments and their voices. Everybody is vested. We are elected officials because of our community. Our community is heard. So when our community speaks, we need to listen. Their voices are important, and it's imperative for us to be successful to work together. And then I'll go back on the park districts. Look, the park districts, things happen, but the thing is, you got to remember, I don't care if it's a Maywood entity, a park district entity. It's a community thing, man. How am I tell a kid that wants to play in the park? Oh, no, you can't go to that park. That's that park over there. That's this and that. Nah, man. We went to all the parks. Look, if the park district is having financial problems, let's help them. Let's put it together. Don't worry about your name on top of it. It's the Village of Maywood, or it's the park district. Nah, man. Let's work together. Let's make sure
So
that
let me
our
make something clear on that. If so, the referendum that was passed in 2006 to turn the parks over to the park district, okay, and here we are 19 years later, and the park district is still not controlling the parks. To that point that you just made, as far as assisting the park district, do you believe that if you were mayor, you would move to have the parks transition to the park district? And I'm going to ask you this. The monies that you're receiving from other entities like the casino, would you be willing to, allocate some of that to support the park district, being that they're also in a deficit? Because the village is in a deficit for like $8 million, and the park district is in deficit of a couple $100,000 or something like that. So my question is, would you be willing to, since you mentioned doing whatever it takes, would that include reallocating some of the funds, if you can, from the casino, that revenue, and reallocate some of that to help the park district become solvent?
To answer your question, unequivocally, yes. I mean, the park district is in Maywood. It's the village of internal light. So the light is shining on all of us. It's not just shining on just the village of Maywood. It's shining on the park district because the park district is within. The parks are so important, man. It can't be about what people see. Okay, I want to put this over here so when they drive by, they see this. Man, lose me with that, man. Let's make sure our kids are having fun in the parks. Let's make sure our seniors are safe in the parks. Let's make sure our kids are engaging in community things in our parks. I grew up at the rec. The rec, we had the Starship playground. We had inside with they fed us.
Yep.
We had after school services. We played basketball. We played softball. We went to another park, played baseball. It's who we are in our community. We can't get caught up on titles, because I learned a long time ago, I hold a lot of titles, but when you get those titles, sometimes you feel entitled. We are not entitled. Our community is entitled for these services. So as elected officials, let's make sure we provide those services. Let's help one another. We got to help each other. It can't be about me. No, it's about us. So, okay. Park district is hurting right now. Let's find out how we can help them. Let's find out, okay, they got this going on. Okay, we're not going to get involved in that, but how can we move forward with this? How can we make sure we do right with this? If we get that sports complex at Fifth Park, the the swimming pool with Fred Hampton, we glorifying him and who he was in our community, and we getting resources for education, resources for arts and sciences for our kids, and we get all that together, we get it going. Why not let the park district run it? Let them run it. Let's get it going. Let's
Yeah.
utilize our resources. Let them run it. That's they professionals in that. We
Right.
can get it going. Let's show them what we want. Let's work together. And
Yeah.
then when they get it going, we don't want to fall back 2-3 years later. No, we run this. Y'all can't. No. We work together. It's a team
Right.
effort. You win,
Gotcha.
we win.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So as we start to wind down this podcast, we've gone a little bit over, but I expected that, being that we have a lot to talk about, tonight. If you were elected mayor, would you consider um, reverting back to the old salary? There's this issue of, the trustee seats and the mayor getting a 400% increase, I believe. And I heard you earlier talk about that. If you don't put the work in, you shouldn't get paid. Basically, mayor.
I like to speak on that, and I'm live on a podcast. I'm not here to get fed off my community, so I don't want a 400% increase and all that. I don't listen. Uh, if that money was given to me, I would donate it. I would donate it to our youth. I can do some incredible things with non-for-profit organizations. Um, I'm fine, man. Financially, I've been truly blessed. I work hard for mine. I would, to answer your question, yes, I will vote it down unequivocally. We don't need that. Um, we've prospered from the old system. Um, you put a team in place to work. We have great resources within our community. We have great leadership. Some of the leadership needs to be tweaked. We need to collaborate. Uh, we need to use our resources. I mean, we have so much talent in our town. When our kids go away and get these degrees and these masters and doctorals, bring these kids back. I say kids because I'm old, but bring them back. They got young talent. They just went through some of the educational tools that I went through. They fresh, they're vibrant, they have ideas, they're innovative, they got marketing schemes. Let's utilize them. Let's bring our community together. Don't shut them out. Bring them in. Um,
Yeah.
I want to. I know I'm getting off course. I got to say this. We had a young man that I was a father figure to. I'm praying I don't get emotional on this because he was one of my sons. He's one of my favorite sons. Players Tony Moody. He did everything that we asked. Me and my wife, we were going to be his foster parents. We had got registered to be his foster parents. His grandmother and his family stepped up and took care of him. So we went to the back burners on that. But he did everything you asked. He went to Indiana State. He pledged Alpha. And he graduated. And then he came home and he's waiting on the job. We didn't have resources in our community to assist him, for that transition from when you graduate until you're waiting for that job. And he was with the wrong crowd in Bellwood and with his cousin. And the bottom line is he got murdered. It wasn't his bullet, but a bullet doesn't have a name for it. And I remember that day that I said that I was through getting close to the kids. I'm done. I cried. God spoke to me and told me, no, you're not through. You're going to get closer. And I was going back and forth with God, and God won every time. So I say that to say this. We need to bring our community to the point where we allocate resources for our talent, bring our talent back. We have so much talent in our town. We don't need to go outside our town to get talent. We have talent here. We have resources here. We got kids doing amazing things like Princess Lang starting a dance team in Southern Cal University. Never been done before, going on the Jennifer Hudson show, Good Morning America. She here in Maywood, she was born and raised. She was on Sports Center. That type of talent needs to be showcased. So, okay, she's in dance. She's in drama. She's young. Bring her back. Bring her back. Let's incorporate her talents in our town and our community effort and who we trying to be here. You know, is she's just
Absolutely.
one example. We have a plethora of talent that we don't bring back.
Mhm.
You know, we look
Yeah.
at them and they downtown, they living in Bolingbrook,
Right.
they in Plain. Let's
Right.
bring them back. You know, I seen some of them athletes, this and that. And we go to games. I'm about to bring the team. We about to play them. I see the whole stands, the people I grew up with. Oh yeah, my son over here, my son over here, my daughter over here, my daughter over here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
it's us. So let's bring us
Yeah.
back.
Amen. Amen. I like that. And I've known you for many years. Um, you've come to the community center, the 200 building, when I had my nonprofit in there, talked to the kids. I'm not sure if you remember, we went to play basketball with them. You were in your uniform. I remember that. And they're like, man, this man moved like me. I was like, dude, you don't
Right.
know who Pep is? Man, you better
Right.
recognize. If we
Right.
had internet as strong as it was now, I was like, you better
Oh wow.
Google him and you'll
Wow.
find out who he is. He's not
Right.
just a police
Right.
officer. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So, but you've always talked about community. I remember, I know we got to get off, but, got to ask you this. You remember that young man that was murdered on Madison, not too far from the school, from Proviso East? And I can't remember his name, but the guy, he wound up getting.
I tell you his name. Kenny Porter.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
Yeah.
it. And you spoke at his funeral and you said,
Woo.
we need to come together as a community. And that church was packed.
It was
But
packed.
you said
I
we need to
remember
come
that.
together as a community, or we will continue to have lives lost amongst our young people.
Right.
And what you said was prophetic. We are not where we should be. We're not where we used to be, but we need to better, just as you stated. Strong leader. It takes a strong leader to lift this community up called the Village of Maywood. So much potential, so many opportunities. We have all the resources we need in that community. And so I'm with you, brother, and I wish you continued success. And I just want to ask you about the most recent board meeting you were part of, where Peggy Alexander and Lucille Redmond was where their public comments were not read because it was deemed offensive or not professional or whatever. I heard on a separate podcast the words from both Miss Alexander and Miss Redmond. In my opinion, that it wasn't offensive at all. It was emotional, but it wasn't deemed threatening or anything like that. So, I mean, what's your position on that? Because it seemed like the lawyers are running the board when it comes to who could speak through email or just publicly.
My position on that is it's called public comment for a reason. And if it's public comment, we all need to understand as elected officials, you need to grow tough skin because everybody doesn't like you. Everybody don't like Aaron Peppers. Some people disagree with me. Some people hate on me. Okay, I pray for them every day. May God bless them and their families and all their things that they want to do in life. But when someone has public comment, public comment needs to be heard. So if someone is up there bashing me, okay, Aaron Peppers, they bashing you for a reason. Just deal with it. Public comment is public comment. I know we Ms. Redmond's comments weren't read. Ms. Alexander's comments weren't read. That is wrong. That is totally wrong. Whatever the public comments are, it's public comments. I mean, if you're not using profane language, that we can't say on around our elderlies or our kids, then it's okay. It's just is your opinion or it's factual. There's no gray area. So it is what it is. As an elected official, you are held at a higher standard. You are targeted, so to speak. So it's gonna be. I mean, I was a police officer 25 years, man. I can't even start to tell you the names that I was called on a daily basis as soon as I come in the house. The fights and things that get me with, and come on, man. It's public comment for a reason. Our citizens' voices need to be heard, and we need to move in accordance to what our citizens of the village of Maywood want. It's not what we want, it's what we put together and we put before our village constituents. But what they want is what's going to happen. So if they want public comment, guess what happens? Public comment. If they want to go up
Absolutely.
there and say that Aaron Peppers is bald head, I don't like him, guess what? Aaron Peppers, you bald head, they don't like you.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Well said. You're listening, you're watching the podcast called Let's Talk Maywood on Diversity Today Media. Our guest tonight is the Honorable Trustee Aaron Peppers. And as we begin to conclude our podcast, again, thank you everyone for staying on with us. Our podcast, this particular podcast, is running longer than our usual time, but I think it's for a valid reason. We are in the midst of an election. We have the highest office in the village, the mayoral race, and we believe the community should hear the voices of those candidates, including Trustee Peppers. And so, Trustee Peppers, as we begin to end this discussion, I want to give you an opportunity to make final comments. Take a minute or two or three to address your constituents and the community at large about your position in the mayoral race and any other closing thoughts that you might have for our audience. And again, thank you again for joining our podcast on this Friday night. And the stage is yours, brother.
Yes, I would say thank you, Dr. Ratliff, for the opportunity to speak to everybody here. Well, we have to understand this is a critical time in our government here in our village of Maywood. If we don't do the right thing right now, we might not be able to recover from some of the trust issues, some of the lack of accountability, some of the black eyes that we have in our community. And, we don't, Maywood is, I mean, you got to think about it. It's about us, and us doesn't sound like it's about me. So we can't have a dictatorship type of leadership going on in our community. We have an opportunity to make history. Um, I'm born and raised here, uh, educated and raised by our community. Um, I'm married here in Maywood with my the girl next door, so to speak, Sean Webb Peppers. Have a beautiful family. I'm faith based. I was baptized as Second Baptist. I'm a member of Rock of Ages since 1993. Pastor Wiley is amazing. A lot of people don't know this. He's my friend, not just my pastor. He's my friend. We talk a lot. I love him. Um, you have an opportunity here to make history, to have someone from your town that is highly qualified, retired police officer, 25 years, coach your kids and raise your kids for 25 years through football and my non-for-profit organization. Hands-on guy. Always remember, no matter what titles you have, don't feel entitled. It ain't about you. I want to make sure that we come together and collaborate and foster a cycle of civic engagement in our community to have great things done together. I mean, just be proud again. I'm proud to say I'm a Maywoodian. I'm proud to have been raised here. I'm proud to have the opportunity to be a write-in candidate for mayor here in the village of Maywood. Okay, some people say, "Man, why you got to write you in?" I'll say this: don't count me out, write me in, and make history. And some people say, "Man, you can't win like that." Yes, you can. If you look over in Westchester in 2023, Greg Riebel was a write-in candidate and won in Westchester in 2023. We in 2025. You know who I am. I'm everywhere. I'm at every door. I'm canvassing. I'm listening to people. I'm here for you. And it ain't about me. It's about us. So we need to put somebody in place. Write-in candidate Aaron Peppers for mayor. Vote for me. Put me in place. And I will make sure our team works together and get this right. Yeah, the onus will be on me. That's fine. I got broad shoulders. I'm up for it. I'm up for the challenge. Um, I'm faith based. Um, I'm raised by my father, Wendell Peppers, who's my hero. And I'm just really ready. I mean, it's like game time. We're getting closer. I'm anticipating, and I want us to shine. So we have the opportunity here to shine. So early voting starts on March 17th. The election is April 1st. I'm write-in candidate Aaron Peppers, and I'm here to make sure that we come together and collaborate as a community and bring back family in Maywood and glorify all our talent and bring it back home for victory, so we can win daily in Maywood. Let's win. Let's get off the sideline. Let's start winning. We can do it together. Let's put it together. Let's make it together. Let's do it together. It's all about us. Write-in candidate for Mayor Aaron Peppers. To God be the glory, and thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you, Trustee Peppers. God bless you, brother, and continue the great work you're doing in the community. And keep running those marathons, my man. You're doing well, doing great work. John McKnight, the writer of Asset-Based Community Development, states that a community is built from the inside out. You use all your resources within the community to build it, and then you expand through collaborations and partnerships and things of that nature. And Trustee Peppers touched upon that tonight. But the beauty of this process called the election season is that you can vote for whoever you want who is running, whether it is a trustee or in this case, the mayor of Maywood. Trustee Peppers is running as a writing candidate, so you have the freedom. You don't have to pay a poll tax. You don't have to pass a constitution test. You don't have to worry about getting jumped. You can walk or ride your bike or drive your car or get a ride and do it freely at the polls in your area. And so I implore that you get out there and vote as early as March 17th. The election day is April 1st. And again, you need to vote because history and the future is at stake. I am Dr. Reggie Ratliff. Tune in for our next podcast, and we'll have our next candidate talk about the position that they are going for. And until that time, please be safe, vote. God bless you, and good night.